Hello, everybody. How you doing? It's Damon once again with another list, and this time I said I wanted to do my top 10 movie tropes. There's movie tropes that I'm tired of, that I feel like are completely lazy, and for each of them, I'll try to give you an example. Since it's top 10, spoiler alert, there will be basically some spoilers of some stories, but also I try to actually keep this video relatively short. I don't want to be too long, uh to drag on too much. So, for example, without further ado, number 10, it's not a movie trope, but it's when you do a sequel where there's barely any of the cast. That means basically there's no actor coming back, there's or barely any. Like the main character, the main actor's not coming back. Uh, The director is not the same. I don't know about the score composer. Maybe, maybe not. But apart from maybe one or two, three, maybe one main character. It's not the main character, but one of the main characters, and most two, three supporting characters, everybody leaves. This is when you know that a sequel is bound to stink. And we've seen it in many, many movies. Batman Forever. I mean, most of his cast was gone. There was no Danny Elfman. There was no Tim Burton, Michael Keaton. Michael Goff stayed, and Pat Ingle, but that was it. And we saw what happened in terms of quality of those ones. But Michael Goff and Pat Ingle always played a great role, but it's like they always had good acting, but the movies were not the same. So you also had Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I don't need to talk to you more about that movie. You also had the diminishing return of Police Academy sequels. After the fourth one, after Steve Guttenberg left, the quality went downhill. Now, I could say the first one is still the best one, and I agree. But Police Academy 5 and 6 still had some moments. This Police Academy 7 was really horrible. And I can't believe that the late, great Sir Christopher Lee was in the movie and was acting his butt off to make sure that basically, while it might be a terrible movie, you made sure that he wasn't terrible in the movie. So you have those when a movie series is recast, there's just barely any remnants of the originals. It's a sign to avoid. Even Independence Day resurgence. Sure, some people came back, but Will Smith wasn't back. Vica A. Fox characters got killed really right away. Uh, Bill Pullman's character just exists to be killed or sacrificed at the end. So this is a reminder when they start recasting roles that maybe it's not a good idea. And honestly, the exception to that rule might be Jumanji. Welcome to the Jungle. Apart from that, it's always a bad thing. Nine, nerd is always socially awkward. We've seen this in romantic comedies. We've seen this like Milk Band Theory basically makes a joke when in reality, I wouldn't say it's offensive because of a stereotype. It's offensive because it's lazy and truth be told, it's lazy and we're in an era we don't want to stereotype, yet we stereotype. It's hypocritical. Like the nerd is always lacking social skills, or basically he always has to undergo a transformation to basically in the end, like basically find the hot woman, basically be with a hot woman, rather than just basically what about self-discovery? What about basically realization to self-actualize himself to become a better person? No, it always happens because in the end he just wants to be with somebody. It's always depending, trying to basically be dependent on somebody else to make his or her happiness. Never about themselves. It's always about the journey about being with somebody else. That's what bothers me about this because it's basically saying that the nerd will never be happy unless it's with somebody, which is not always the case. Okay. Number 10, and number 8, sorry, is the unearned skill masteries. What does that mean, Damon? I'll tell you this. You've seen the new trilogy of Star Wars? You've seen the original trilogy of Star Wars. Luke Skywalker had to earn his skills from scratch to become the top Jedi. He had to basically endure his family, his Uncle Ben, his Uncle Owen, and his aunt dying. He had to see his mentor, Obi-Wan Kenobi, die in front of his eyes. He had to go to Dagobah to be trained by Yoda and still lose to Darth Vader. And it wasn't even close the first time. Only for basically trained to spend many years between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi training as a Jedi. And then he started mastering his skills. And then he could use basically his anger to defeat Darth Vader. Though I will say, I think Darth Vader kind of let it happen in some ways, was more than defensive. And even then, he couldn't beat the Emperor. There was like a gradual ladder of skill mastery. Kill Bill, the bride. I mean, she was paralyzed and afterwards had to regain basically control of her limbs, although the rapidity in which case she does, it's kind of exaggerated, but still. Yeah, she could beat 88 per people. But even then, when she tried to storm to to Bud's trailer, Bud anticipated that with a shotgun. Like she was great at she was mastering sword and basic martial arts, but if it was to with firearms, the bride would have a more difficult time. Even then, there's a journey. I mean, she had difficulty obstacles after obstacle after obstacles. I mean, the crazy 88. She had a hard time basically finding this. What else? Facing L Driver, she had a hard time as well. So, and she was buried alive, and that basically had to learn about this. She learned martial arts from a master first, and she was basically routinely getting obliterated by her sensei at first. There's skill mastery. Karate Kid, speaking of skill mastery, Daniel LaRusso sucked in terms of hand fighting until he met Mr. Miyagi. In the second one, since there's no tournament, basically he had to again refurbish his own skills to be chosen. Now in the third one, you can actually say it felt like it's the opposite of skill mastery. It felt like he learned nothing and was back to square one. But still. And then in Cobra Kai, you could see why now as a senior, now he had the skills under control. Now basically the people were intimidating the teenagers were intimidating others. He wasn't a Mr. Miyagi spot, in which case they couldn't intimidate him. So he was sensitive. And even then he was losing sometimes to Terry Silver. I mean, Sarah Connor went from helpless, basically helpless damsel in the first one to be a badass in the second one. What about Ellen Ripley as well? I like when basically the hero become more badass. Batman Begins. When he started, he wasn't badass. Well, he's badass, he's Batman, but he's not as badass later on. He gets trounced by the Scarecrow, and later on, basically, when he basically figured out how to extract the poison with the antidote that basically Lucius Fox gives him, he's able to defend himself. That's the thing. Your character needs to go on a journey to learn new skills. Whereas I feel like the new Star Wars is not doing, which some of Marvel movies are not doing. And that's the reason why there's diminishing return. You want to see the hero progress, learn some skills, become better. That's the thing. That's the thing about any movies. You want to see the protagonist become better as the movie goes on, or actually learn to be better. You've seen it also in the recent Planet of the Apes trilogy. Caesar gained some skills to basically become better, a better leader and a better warrior. That's what you need in a trilogy. You can't just have him basically have a cheat code and always basically have everything at 100%. I mean, Darth Vader only got beaten at the end of the trilogy. Kylo Ren got beaten every time by Rey in every single volume of the new trilogy. So where's the suspense in that? Anyway, that's very important. Like unearned skills is a pet peeve of mine. So I'd say it's more about my top 10 pet peeves. Number 7, Amnesia. The Amnesia storyline, which is wrestling or movies. I think it's lazy. Spider-Man 3. Harry Osborn and Spider-Man are fighting. Harry Osborn falls. He gets amnesia because put him in the sidelines because, hey, Spider-Man has to face Sandman. So you can't have too many villains at once. But all it did was basically use a storyline for MJ to go back to Harry for time being, to be manipulated by him, only to find out that later that Harry Osborn was indeed amnesiac, but he got over it way quicker than predicted, and he was fooling both Peter Parker and MJ to thinking that he was still a bit amnesiac. And it was very lazy because it led to basically Peter Parker nearly murdering him. And at the end of the movie, oh, it's okay, it's not so bad, basically. And you had basically the butler say, "I'm sorry, I didn't want to intrude, but your dad died at the end of his own uh blades." And I'm thinking, why couldn't you have told me this in the first one? Why could you have told Harry in the first one that this happened, that he was a Green Goblin, he died in his own hands? You could have saved a lot of a heartache. And in the end, the way Harry Osborn got dispatched by Venom just felt like, why was he in the movie? Like you teased him to be the main villain in the third and the second Spider-Man, the best of the bunch, only for him to be a thrown away villain in the third one. I'm sure there's other amnesia part movies or TV shows I've missed, but that's the first one that comes in. Number six is the Marvel humor or humor that doesn't match the tone of the movie. Example, Thor Love and Thunder. Christian Bale. Christian Bale was a beast in that movie. I mean, I know he's always a method actor, but it's like, hey, his character is supposed to be very evil, guy forged by vengeance, hardened by pain. And yet, the moment the scene's done, let's have to a comedy series with Taiki Waititi and Chris Hemsworth playing as Thor. And let's not forget the god-awful acting of Tessa Thompson, who can only play one role, it seems like. She's so entitled that she thinks she's entitled that she deserves every bit of her success. Anyway, the Marvel humor isn't just in Marvel movies anymore. I feel like it's even in Superman 2025. I like the movie, but I prefer Man of Steel because Man of Steel, if this does have humor, it's not badly placed. It's basically placed at a time that maybe it's supposed to be funny. It's like, okay, cool. But this one, it just felt like Lex Luthor being dispatched by Crypto at the end, I thought was ridiculous. And it's like Nicholas Hoult was on his way to become one of the best DC villains. I wouldn't say of all time, but at least over the last 20 years. And then that happened. So yeah, I don't like when a movie basically forces humor just to force it because the movie cannot be a bit dark. You know, let a scene breathe. If the scene's supposed to be intense and dramatic, let it be dramatic. Let the humor come in another scene, but right now, let us digest it. I mean, if you go to movie, basically, okay, cool. If you eat, I don't know, a sandwich, would you basically put in a chocolate on it? No. Let it digest one thing at a time. Same thing there. Let basically put the drama first. Let us digest the dramatic part before you introduce the comedy. Number five, unearned face turns, unearned sympathy. That's for me, it's like a character that done a lot of bad things, and we're supposed to have sympathy for them. Why? Case in point, Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, the clone at the end, the female child as a clone. I think it was ridiculous that we're supposed to sympathize with her when she let all the dinosaurs go because they're clones like her. And I'm thinking, why aren't the audience wishing that this character dies in the next one, or at least sacrifice herself? Or if it was revealed, I know I don't like having evil twins, but if it was her evil twin clone instead, because that had no reason to be in this being that way. Because in the third one, she acted annoyed that she had to take care of this mess. You know the mess she actually created. I don't know why we had sympathy for her when she shouldn't. Another point was in Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, General Hux all of a sudden turning was basically the double agent, was turning on the Empire for no reason, and was supposed to feel sympathetic for him despite all the trouble and turmoil he threw at the rebellion's way. Nah, I didn't feel any sympathy there. For a bad guy to suffer sympathy, they have to go through hardship that shows they have a willingness to get better. And if anything, the series Cobra Kai shows that Johnny Lawrence was an a-hole, but he shows himself to basically an ex-degenerate. He went through some obstacles. I mean, he was a former alcoholic who basically deserted his kid on day one for to go on a basically an alcohol binge because he couldn't handle his mom's death and he couldn't handle being a parent. But over this course of the series, he redeemed himself by basically being Miguel Sensei, basically having another kid, trying to rebuild his image, basically let go of alcohol, and honestly defeated his demon. And at the end of the series, making good a chance to redemption. The point he actually made good and became friends with his former nemesis and Daniel LaRusso. Basically, let go of his anger toward John Kreese for corrupting him and prove to himself that he's a winner no matter what. That is redemption. He deserved that happy ending. He deserved our sympathy, and also because he was hilarious. But still, uh, you I'm trying to see what other character turned bad. Apollo Creed wasn't it? Basically, Apollo Creed was a bad guy. He was a fighter, was fighting Rocky. But the first one, it's like, he just sees Rocky as a joke, just a great name to fight. Basically, a marketing opportunity. And then the fight happened. And while he won by points. He didn't beat Rocky, and it really stung at him. The point he became kind of a bad guy in the second one, doing everything in his power to provoke Rocky, and then he lost. He basically accepted on that night Rocky was a better fighter. And the third one happened, and yeah, he still is brash Apollo, but the moment Rocky lost his father figure in Mickey, he approached him. He even acknowledged he was sorry for the losses of his coach, but Apollo just said, "Never mind. Good. He lost to me. Basically, I lost to him. I'm happy for his loss." No, he saw this as it's not the same Rocky I fought. I don't like seeing this mopey Rocky. I need the guy with the eye of the tiger. I need that guy back. And he didn't do it for money. Yeah, he wanted to basically prove it to himself through a fight, you know, after the credits that basically was revealed in the movie Creed that Apollo won. But still, he did it also because he wanted to see Rocky at his best, and he felt like he wasn't at his best anymore because he let the revelation that basically the fighters were handpicked destroy him mentally. This destroy his perception of his own skills. In the process, not just rehabilitated Rocky, he helped him become a better fighter, and honestly, I think he became a better person too. He was no longer scared of failure because he knew he could redeem himself. He could always, if he falls down, he can get back up. So I think that's very important. Like even Darth Vader has a bit of a redemption storyline in Return of the Jedi was basically into that he's still a good person, still Anakin Skywalker inside of him, and he decides to sacrifice himself for the benefit of for basically his son's sake. Redemption is a great thing, but it needs to be built upon. And the movie that I mentioned, the an Unearned Sympathy in Jurassic World, it's not happening. Also, I didn't have any sympathy for Elena Shaw in Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny. Oh my gosh, she's an awful character, an unbearable one at that. She laughed in the face of a friend of Indiana Jones getting killed, and we're supposed to say that Indiana Jones is an old grumpy old man. But I don't know about you, but if you were to survive an assassination attempt, but one of your friends died, and somebody laughed at this, you'd be pretty ticked off at the very least. So yeah, there might be other people, but hey, I don't want to make it too long. Number four, swerve for the sake of swerve. My example of this, it's like when I know movies sometimes are good when they're unpredictable, but sometimes predictable is good. Batman, Dark Knight. Batman wasn't gonna die at the end. We knew that. We probably knew he was gonna catch the Joker, and he did. And they made it in such a way that both Batman and Joker could be argued they won. I mean, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. They destroyed the ring. Star Wars, they defeated Darth Vader and the Empire basically stopped the Empire from ruling the galaxy. Again, you expected that, just the way it's done. Then you have I Know What You Did Last Summer 3. Now, in the first one, the villain was a guy named Benson, was a hook guy, called was Ben. Was Ben. And the second one, we found out that basically in one of the stupidest twists ever was the boyfriend Jennifer Love Hewitt's character. We found out basically Julie, and basically because his last name was Benson. Get it? Oh, God. Poor Jack Black, he was in that movie. Anyway, in the third one, okay, the surviving protagonist of the whole series were like Freddie Prinze Jr. the first two ones, and Jennifer Love Hewitt. Who do you think would be the bad guy? You expected, okay, it'll be probably a new character that's gonna be the bad guy. No, it's revealed that, spoiler alert, you know what? I don't care. It's such a bad movie. Freddie Prinze Jr. is the murderer of the third one. Just to make people remember so he kills more people. Ray's character, Freddie Prinze Jr. is Ray. It's like, why? Because people didn't expect it? That makes no sense. After what he's gone through, he should be on Julie's side to make sure it doesn't happen again. And then at the end, they had the gall for that movie to basically make a post-credit scene with Brandy, the Survivor's second one, thinking they're gonna be a sequel. Please, please, seriously, spare me. I mean, swerve for the sake of swerve a story. It's like the same thing of it was all in the person's head. It worked in Fight Club because it's perfectly, brilliantly done. But in Haute Tension, that French movie, that was badly done. Or Hide and Seek with Robert De Niro, again, badly done. Third, unearned happy ending, which is cool. There, like I said, Jurassic World. Why Dominion? Why is the clone living happily ever after when she didn't deserve it? Again, the same franchise. Why is the boyfriend in Jurassic World Rebirth surviving after being described as kind of an awful human being or basically an annoying one? I'm thinking, okay, the basically Scarlett Johansson's partners in that case were more bearable, and they did some of them, Barb Masha Ali, sorry if I mispronounced his name. Apart from him, all of them died. Why? I mean, you can laugh at Deep Blue Sea. Hey, the greatest death scene, basically with Samuel Jackson would get bitten off mid speech, and basically you can basically see the computer effect as moment as the shark's fins, the shark's teeth sink into Samuel Jackson's character's body. You can see it's totally CGI afterwards. But the thing is, supposedly Saffron Burrows' character was supposed to survive, and L. Cool J's character was supposed to die. But basically the test audience in the previews that they did, they found out that they didn't like that Burrows character who perpetrated the whole uh, Alzheimer's uh, Alzheimer's cure on sharks actually made them smarter and more vicious. It's plot that she's the one behind this and she survived, but basically because the audience disagreed and didn't like the character, they killed her off. Say what you want about the movie, but the movie had guts. And that's what I think should have been done. Like the character didn't deserve to survive. Heck, Elena Shaw. I didn't mind that she survived, but she never got hers in Dial of Destiny. I mean, I'm just trying to see how many unearned happy endings there are. Uh, there's probably some more that come to mind later. I'll probably upload this video and then I'll say, "Oh man, I could have mentioned that." But those are mentioned. Like you need to have the character needs to have earned her happy endings. You know, you can't have just an happy ending and oh, it's a character. You just turn good or whatever, and then we basically have a happy ending. No, it doesn't work like this. They have to repent for what they did. They have to redeem themselves. They have to actually atone for their past sins. If they don't, what's the point? But that's number three. Number two, time traveling. Now, I know that's a huge trope here, Damon, but it's not for every movie. It's for every movie we use it needlessly or in a slapdash way. Back to the Future, I will not complain about that. That's all premise. But at the same time, I think they kept it simple. And I feel like time travel is something that needs to be kept simple in a movie because if you really think about it, if you ask too many questions, it can be very, very harsh. Surprisingly, Tenet's not in there, though Tenet's pretty complicated, and I like that movie. It's a good experimental movie, but it's not my favorite Nolan movie. But anyway, Back to the Future is utilized as well as Hot Tub Time Machine. I don't know the second one, I didn't see the second one, but the first one I really liked. It's hilarious. Avengers Endgame, they kind of tripped over their own explanations, and they nearly badly explain it, but the movie's pretty damn good. So I'll forgive it on that. Heck, Bill and Ted 1 really use it well. Look at basically this. Back to the Future, Bill and Ted 1, Hot Tub Time Machine. It seems like comedies not to use it because they don't overly use it. And they don't use it in a way they're going to get themselves basically go against physics principles. No, they know where to stop because they can basically stumble on 2 feet. However, time travel, a part of Marvel, is going to the point where right now, no death will have any gravitas. Even if you kill somebody, nobody's caring because you just kill a variant. You didn't kill a character definitively. There's not going to be an impact from that. So it's going, even for DC, it's going to that point with the multiverse, with Peacemaker. If you're going to kill somebody and be definitive about it. Have some guts. And while there's no, I was going to say, also in terms of movies there, an FYI, Fast and Furious. At this point, nobody can get killed of the team of Dom. So at this point, no, no that have any gravitas because it's like, oh, okay, they're just gonna see it from, not gonna see them for a movie or two. So yeah, so that's what I believe in time travel. But I'm surprised that one of my favorite movies ever, Superman, is guilty of that too. A great movie, great powers, okay, kind of cheesy, but I like it being this. But at the end, when Lois dies, he all of a sudden Superman is able to go backwards. Basically, he turns so fast, turns around the Earth so fast that reverse time. What the hell? Like I love that movie, but to me, it's always what the hell at that point. Anyway. I would say more, maybe looking back, it's unearned time travel, time travel out of nowhere. The movie Funny Games with Michael Pitt and Tim Roth. Basically, Tim Roth finally gets his hand on the two people who terrorize his family, only for Michael Pitt to, out of nowhere, take a magical remote control and rewind the scene so that it goes back to the point where they torture Tim Roth's character and end up killing him. Like, it was unearned. It was just frustrating the audience. I know the director was saying, oh, it's a social experiment to see if the people will be angry. Well, they didn't pay for your movies anymore. That's how angry is that? How you like them apples, man? Anyway, but number one is still that it was all a dream, it was all a vision, it was all an hallucination. That to me is like it's unearned. It makes the audience feel like you waste their time. And truth be told, whoever's the director should be very careful the next movie, with the bulk of the next movie, because you just happen to tick off the entire crowd. I mean, Family Guy when they did it basically did some meta humor at the end, and yeah, so that helped for them. But not every movie should do this or a series. But those are my thing. I also don't like in terms of tropes. Uh, a character's not always invincible at everything, can always under always overcome everything without much effort, which I also like basically learn in this case. Skill mastery. Also meta humor or breaking the fourth wall where it's not needed. I love it within Deadpool, but hey, Elvis Graton 2 didn't feel like he should do that. Uh, Shape of Things with Rachel Weisz flipping off the crowd, flipping off the audience as the last frame of the screen at the end of the movie for no reason was pretty much a bold and unnecessary move. So, those are some of my pet peeves. Let me know if you have other pet peeves in terms of movies. I'm out. See you later.